Diplomatic dispute. Turkey has some harsh words for the Netherlands as tensions between the two countries spill onto the streets. Ousted South Korean president leaves the Blue House for her house, but the corruption scandal isn't over. And a humanitarian crisis. The United Nations says the threat of starvation and disease hasn't been this bad in 70 years. What can you do to help? We'll speak to a special guest just ahead. Hello, I'm Lynda Kinkade. This is CNN Newsroom. Thanks for joining us. Allegations of Nazism, Islamophobia and blackmail. As the diplomatic dispute escalates between Turkey and the Netherlands, there are protests on the streets in both countries. Here is how this dispute unfolded. It started on Saturday when Dutch officials stopped two Turkish ministers from going to a rally. They thought crowds may get out of control. They didn't even let the Turkish foreign minister's plane land. And let me show you the moment. Police told the Turkish family's minister that she had to leave the country immediately, just after she'd driven in. Well, both were heading to an event for Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan just weeks before a public vote to expand his powers. Mr. Erdogan waded in personally, comparing the Dutch government to Nazis and sealing off their embassy in Ankara. Well, a big election is also planned in the Netherlands on Wednesday, and immigration has been one of the main issues leading up to the vote. Our Atika Shubert joins us now from Rotterdam for more on this. Atika, just days before the Dutch people are due to go to the polls, we're seeing this tit for tat between the Netherlands and Turkey. Massive rallies last night. How is it looking now?
Well, it's much quieter today, Lynda. In fact, this is the Turkish consulate right behind me. And last night, there were thousands of people out here. And it developed very quickly. Riot police were called in by late in the evening to disperse them. A number of people were arrested and a few people were injured. So today, the city has returned to normal. But diplomatically speaking, still very tense. Harsh words from the leaders of both countries, the Dutch prime minister saying the country won't be blackmailed, and the Turkish president saying that the Netherlands has acted in a fascist and racist way, saying it is all part of a dangerous game of election politics. Take a listen to what both leaders had to say.
If you sacrifice Turkish-Dutch relations to the elections that will be held on Wednesday, you will pay the price. You will pay the price. We haven't started to take the necessary steps yet.
We are absolutely willing to de-escalate, but of course these utterings of the President of the Turkish Republic do not help, and they are completely unacceptable.
In the aftermath of what happened here in Rotterdam, Denmark has now said that it is postponing a visit by the Turkish Prime Minister to Copenhagen precisely because of security concerns and this ratcheting up of tensions. So it does seem as though the diplomatic fallout won't end in the Netherlands, Lynda.
Right, so this could in fact escalate. And if it does, Atika, what's at stake?
Well, there's quite a bit at stake here. I mean, Turkey, of course, is an important member of NATO, but perhaps the most recent deal made with Turkey, of course, was to prevent Syrian refugees from coming into the EU. This was the deal struck between Angela Merkel of Germany and President Erdogan. So those are just an example of some of the deals that could be at risk. It's just a question of how high and for how long this is going to escalate.
Absolutely. And do you think the riots involving Turkish immigrants could play into the hands of the far-right candidate Geert Wilders there just ahead of this election?
I think it will certainly play into the elections in some way. It's only a few days away. Whether it helps Wilders or the Dutch Prime Minister Rutte is another question, though. I mean, you're right, Wilders has capitalized on this, almost immediately tweeting out that he was one of the first to call for a ban on these Turkish political rallies. But, you know, just speaking to some of the people in the streets here in Rotterdam, it does seem as though Rutte has gotten a lot of the credit for actually taking a much firmer line and drawing a line against these political rallies here. So we'll have to wait until Election Day, but I think there's no doubt that this will somehow play into the minds of voters when they cast their votes.